Hey guys, it's time for this month's So You Like, my monthly recommendation series where I take a piece of media that I've enjoyed in the past month or so and suggest some things that you might enjoy if you have, like me, enjoyed it. This month's source material is Red Dwarf, which me and Jamie have been re-watching because we wanted to get caught back up on it because we missed some of it, but apparently not as much as we thought we had. So that was sure a thing that happened. The things that I'm pulling out of Red Dwarf are the fact that it is a edgy, irreverent space comedy about a bunch of assholes living on a spaceship, and there may or may not be some of the last people alive, except they're definitely not, but you know, it's not got a great sense of continuity, and it's very, very silly, but it does stuff, and it's kind of dated itself a bit in some ways, but it's still quite funny in a lot of ways. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend to you based on Red Dwarf is Space Team by Barry Hutchison, which is a book based around the idea of a human guy gets kidnapped by a bunch of aliens from his jail cell and is set to work with like an explosive in his brain to make sure he complies. It's basically Suicide Squad in space, but he's a bit of he's kind of Lister-ish in a lot of ways, so he's a genuinely not bad person, but he's not a good person either. He's a bit of a bum in some ways, not in the ways that Lister is, but he's a bit of a bum. The next thing I'm going to recommend to you based on Red Dwarf is Epic Spell Wars, which is a board game. Now, there's not much similar between Red Dwarf and Epic Spell Wars, other than tone. Epic Spell Wars is, just like Red Dwarf, rather irreverent, but also just kind of childish in some ways. It's a childish adult thing. It's that weird sort of balance between the two, and both of them definitely tread that line on a hair trigger, effectively. The idea behind Epic Spell Wars is just you're a bunch of wizards all fighting each other because you can and making up random spells. So yeah, honestly, I can see Rimmer and Lister being stupid and weird at it, but they would probably be doing quite nuts things. The next thing that I want to recommend to you based on Red Dwarf is Portal, both 1 and 2. Now, there's a similar sort of last human alive, possibly, tone to it, and the fact is that, like, there's some weird, interesting humour choices. Portal is a bit less dated in a lot of ways, but they've both got this weird choice of humour things, and I think it works better in Portal in some ways, to be honest, but they both have a similar tone in some ways. So yeah, I think that Portal would be either of them, but especially the second one, to be honest, either of those would probably work pretty well. Cave Johnson and Rimmer. God, that would be a match made in hell for everyone else. And the last thing that I want to recommend to you based on Red Dwarf is The Adventure Zone. Now, this podcast is done by the McElroy brothers and their dad. They are playing various role-playing games, but mainly D&D and Powered by the Apocalypse based stuff. And this might seem a bit out of the blue, but honestly, similar tones again. They're both Red Dwarf and The Adventure Zone. They are both like irreverent. They are very silly. They're a little bit just willing to push themselves in ways that are just that bit weird sometimes. The interesting thing about Adventure Zone is that they really grow past it, but they still stay true to their roots in some ways, and Red Dwarf kind of stays a bit more, like that in some ways, but the Adventure Zone kind of comes and goes with it. It keeps its core true, but does evolve along with the way that the brothers do themselves. So there's a lot of poop jokes and butt jokes and, you know, all the other sort of nonsense, silly jokes that you expect. And then there's also just, like, really heartfelt, touching moments. So, yeah, I think that it works. Quite tonally, the two are similar and different in interesting ways. I haven't particularly got any TV or movies to go with this, but honestly, don't have to every time, do I? So those have been my recommendations for you based on Red Dwarf. I think they're not bad, so yeah. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of my recommendations, suggestions, or whatever they are. I would love to know, so tell me down below if I missed anything, or if they could have been better, or if they're just perfect. Let me know. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and that you remember to like and share it, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the thumbnails over there to see other videos by me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!